Are you ready to master the waves of medical device product development? Well, wax up your surfboard because you are listening to Inspired by Imua. And here is your medical device product development expert, that Hawaiian-hearted hostess who will help you hang 10, Meghan Alonso.
And aloha! You're listening to Inspired by Imua, where we help you master the waves of medical product development. Each week, we interview guests that educate, guide, and inspire to give you and your product the skills you need to hang 10. If this is your first time listening, Imua is spelled I-M-U-A, and it's a Hawaiian word. It means to advance forward with passion despite rough waves. There are plenty of those in medical product development, so keep listening because we've got you covered. So I just wanted to give you guys an update. Last week, my podcast was all about how I was moving and reflecting and reminiscing and happy but sad at the same time. And the movers, when I recorded it, we hadn't moved yet. And then in a few days, the movers came and packed everything up. And I am coming at you right now through my hotel room in Virginia, right outside of the Dulles Airport here. And so I've got my little desk set up. I'm living out of a hotel for a little bit until I find a place to live. So I'm a very busy girl in addition to work, just getting all that stuff situated. So that's my update. Again, I would love to connect with you. If you're listening and you're in the greater DC area, I'll be living in the Northern Virginia area, but still, I'd love to meet up with you guys. And for today, I just wanted to give you the presentation that I gave at MedTech Monday a few weeks ago. So I had tons and tons of positive feedback on that presentation. And so many people asked me for it. And I thought, you know what? That would be really cool if I turned it into a podcast. So that's what I'm doing. It's obviously different since I'm telling this over the podcast and you can't see the slides. So I've got a gift for you. If you go to the podcast page on my website, so if you go to imua-services.com and then click the podcast link, or if you just go to inspiredbyimua.com, you can access it there. And on the show notes page for this episode, I will have the slides available. So you can download it there. You can go check it out. Now, the title of this is Millennial Entrepreneurship in MedTech, and it's trends and how to engage. And when I did this, I started it off with a video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's absolutely hilarious. It's called Millennial International, and it's just a parody on sponsoring a millennial like you would sponsor a child in another ministry. So I started the presentation off with that. I will also link to that in this show notes page. So if you haven't seen that, oh my gosh, you're just going to be rolling. And it's really funny. It definitely makes fun of entrepreneurs. And I started out like that just so people can get laughing and see what that stereotype looks like. And then, so I'll basically continue the presentation right now. So I say, okay, we're going to disrupt that right here, right now. So I'm Meghan Alonso of Imua Services, and I help entrepreneurs, inventors, and scientists go from idea to manufactured product. And I do that in a few different ways. So ways I help, I have a virtual pre-accelerator program called Invention Idea to Profitable Product that gives entrepreneurs and these scientists the tools that they need to start working towards commercialization. I also provide consulting and low-cost group consulting for people and their products to get those forward. I teach people how to get funded, and then I connect them to strategic partners that can propel their product in the marketplace. Now, I was born in 1980, and yeah, I'm not afraid to say my age, at least not yet, maybe in a few years. But I'm right on the cusp of a millennial and a Gen Xer. So I kind of see both sides of this. I see the pros and cons of both generations. So my story with entrepreneurship and MedTech, I never thought I would end up where I am today. As some of you know that have been listening for a long time, I have faced huge medical challenges, and I think that planted the seeds for this and what I'm doing now. And if you haven't heard my story, you can listen to it if you just go to my website. So go to Imua-services.com, check out the About page. You can see a video, and then you can listen to my first podcast. And then later on, I do another podcast where I talk about it. So early on, I was coaching and consulting with high-level athletes to really help improve their sports performance. And then I started working with some injured ones, and that led me into the medical field. So I worked at a clinic. That clinic ended up closing in the recession, which led us to starting our own clinic. We had all the puzzle pieces here and no actual work to go to every day. So we created our own. You know what? I started the marketing department for this clinic with $100 as my budget. So I had to be scrappy. I had to be resourceful, and we did it. We got it off the ground. We grew it to 3 clinics after that. Later on, I knew with all the changes in healthcare coming down the pipeline that I didn't want to be on the provider side. It was risky to be in a private practice clinic. So I moved into the world of medical devices. I helped start a product development firm, and I did that for a while. And then now I have Imua Services. So why did I tell you that? Well, I played around with entrepreneurship early on when I was working with the high-level athletes. And then when that clinic closed in 2009, like I said, I had to be scrappy. I had to do what I could with that $100. And fortunately, I graduated college in a time when the economy was healthy and it was relatively easy to get a job. But see, a lot of millennials graduated right in that recession, and schools back then had been preparing students for corporate jobs. So there wasn't, and I get into this later on, but UC Irvine has an exceptional program for anyone that wants to do entrepreneurship. And if you're an engineer, a biomedical engineer, they prepare you for that. Well, that's awesome, but that wasn't around when I was graduating or some of these other millennials graduated. So they did what you guys probably think they did, is they moved in with their parents and they had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do next? And we all know what happened from here. So they're either still with their parents or they've had to transform themselves. And again, I'm on the cusp. So what I grew up learning is seeing my dad, seeing other people in the community with these jobs that you get and you have them for 20 years. You end up with this great retirement pension. And that's obviously just not the case anymore. Isn't that. I don't even know if Social Security is going to be around when I get older. And, we have to really prepare ourselves for the future. And millennials grew up with Mark Zuckerberg paving the way on his own. And he didn't even have an office. And let's face it, that's a totally different model than what we're used to and what we're being told as kids. So we've got to rely on ourselves these days. And so because of that, the job landscape is radically changing. Okay, so speaking of radically changing, again, I mentioned that I wanted to disrupt that video. So last April, I attended the Young Entrepreneur Convention in Des Moines, Iowa, of all places. Now, my buddy Brandon Adams put this on. Brandon is in podcast episode number 3, just has tons of energy. And Brandon is a really smooth talker and a great businessman, even though he's only 27. He just turned 27, actually. And he got 500 people, just over 500 people, to come to Des Moines, Iowa for a conference in the State Fair building. So we're walking around and there's all these ads for different feed for animals and like how to grow corn and how to grow soybeans and things. So it was pretty funny, but it was an excellent conference. And I met a ton of great people there. The youngest attendee was actually 11. Her name is Mia Steer, and she wrote a book. After this conference, she was so fired up. She wrote a book, put it on Kickstarter, and talked about bullying. She wanted to get it in Iowa schools. And so the Kickstarter campaign did that. Now the book is in all these different schools for kids to read. I mean, it's just incredible. So I bring that up because these are the movers and shakers of the industry. These are who you need to watch. And it's not just the millennials that are living in their parents' house and they They're so entitled. Yes, I see those. They're definitely out there, but I want you to really pay attention to these. So let's get into a little bit more about millennials. They're defined in the age range, kind of fluctuates depending on who you're asking. So on average, I would say they're born between 1980 and 1995. So if you have any judgments about millennials, or if you're thinking, oh, they're one way, they're another way, you know what? You just need to get over it right now, because you'll either be working alongside one, you'll be employed by one, you'll be employing one, or you'll be pitching to one. And yes, I say pitching because there's already VCs out there that are millennials. So I have in this presentation, I have a few different pictures of different articles. One headline says, Millennialpreneurs are starting more businesses targeting higher profits. And then this other one says, why millennials could be the most entrepreneurial generation ever. And then let's get into a few studies. So millennials are the true entrepreneur generation. Now, this first study I'm going to go into is based on the 2016 BNP Global Entrepreneur Report. So it states that the average age that boomers started their business was age 35. And then millennials are starting theirs at 27. So that's almost a decade ahead. And you might be thinking, well, why is that? Like, why are they starting their businesses earlier? And the truth is, it's a lot easier to start a business now. You don't have that huge barrier. I mean, you can start a business if you have a computer and a cell phone, and you can do that from your couch. You don't need office space, or you don't need to hire someone, and you can outsource a lot of this. So it gets easier. And this millennial generation, they're usually not afraid of failure. So they can fall flat on their face and they can do it again, because the alternative is, hey, well, I know my friend's working at this company in their cube and they get fired all the time. So why would I put my trust in them versus I'm going to put my trust in myself and just go out there and do something. So they tend to be more nimble, more independent, and a lot more entrepreneurial than previous generations. So when millennials were surveyed in this study, only 13, actually here, this is a different study I'm referencing. This is the Bentley University study, actually. So when I started out saying with more nimble, so only 13% that Bentley surveyed aspired to climb the career ladder. 67% of people wanted to start their own businesses. And I think, well, what about the other percentage? I mean, and who knows? Maybe they just didn't know. So got to keep that in mind too. So, and I really see this too. So many of these kids just want to they're hungry for that. They feel that the traditional path will lead them down to nowhere. And they've watched their peers be indispensable. 77% value flexible work hours. And the good news on that is after they surveyed the employers that give these employees flexible work hours, the employers are reporting that, hey, we actually love this because we found out that they're always on. 89% of these flexible employees check their work email after work hours and on the weekend. So it's actually really beneficial to the employees to the employers. They like it, and they're just getting better results and better customer service out of them. So how can we use this information? How can we apply it? How can we apply it in our businesses and what we're doing? So I've put together some things around that. And the first one, we want to pitch millennials with passion. So millennials really like purpose-driven companies, and they want their company to be purpose-driven as well. So let's look at what that actually means. So if you've heard of Tom's Shoes or Warby Parker Eyewear, those are examples of purpose-driven companies. So Tom's Shoes, it's not just about selling shoes and having these fashionable shoes that everybody wants, because for every pair of shoes that's sold, a pair is donated to someone in need. Same thing with Warby Parker. It's not just about buying the trendy hipster glasses. It's about if you buy a pair of glasses, I'm going to donate a pair to someone that needs them. And that's what it means to be purpose driven. And these millennials want to be a part of something way bigger than themselves. And hello, MedTech is so easy to get passionate about. And we know we're changing the lives of millions of people. So my advice to you is to highlight the story of your company. So your company's story shines, and tell that backbone. Don't just say, hey, have it very corporate and this is what our company does. These are our values, but actually tell a story, and tell a story that someone can connect with, and tell why you're in business, what drives your purpose, what drives that passion. Highlight all of this. You want to be clear on your story. So when someone asks you just right off the cuff, you want to be able to do it. So recruiters and employers, I want you to focus on that. If you're a startup and maybe you're pitching yourself, you want to be clear on what your story is, how people can connect with you. If you're pitching to a millennial, remember, it's not all about business. They want to see the emotional details. They want to see that you're really invested. And then also, just like anyone you actually pitch, you just want to connect with them as much as you can. And if you're a service provider, really ask those questions that they get to share their story. You know, many times people's favorite subject is themselves. So if you get them talking about themselves and their product, it's just, you're already doing great business with them. Number 2, we want to hang out where all the cool kids are. And all the cool kids are on social media. So I get it. I used to think that, hey, I'm in a business to business industry, and that means that I don't really focus on Facebook. I need to look at LinkedIn. And then I kind of came around and I thought, okay, what's this Twitter thing? I got on Twitter, a ton of people on Twitter. And then I eventually came around and thought, okay, what's the deal with Facebook and business? Well, here's the deal. There are more than 1 billion people on Facebook. Or actually, it's 1.8 billion people have Facebook accounts. 1.1 billion people log on to Facebook every day. So if you think your clients aren't on Facebook, they are. They may not be talking with you on Facebook, but you can get them there. You can lead them there and develop those relationships. Because I know it's kind of like, okay, this is awkward. They have pictures of their kids up here and out doing stuff, but I don't know them in that capacity. But why not? Isn't that more fun to get to know people? So you also need to be aware of keeping up with the changes. So kids in high school these days, speaking of Facebook, that generation actually it's not using Facebook much. They're using Snapchat and Insta stories, and it seems like there's new ones coming out all the time. So you just need to keep a close eye on what's happening with that. So in addition to social media, all the cool kids are hanging out at co-working spaces. So remember when I talked about how I said it's so much easier to start a company these days? And it is because you don't need this big office footprint. You can either work from home, or these co-working spaces allow you all the resources of a normal office, but you're just sharing in the cost. And you have this great community too. Everyone around you is kind of going through the same things you're going through. So I see these sprouting up all over the country. So if wherever you are, I'm sure there's one close to you. So the third thing that we can do to engage with these millennial entrepreneurs is be flexible. So I hinted earlier, 77% of people in that Bentley survey wanted flexible work hours. And I was actually listening to a podcast. My friend Michael O'Neill had a podcast I was listening to a few weeks ago, and I forgot his last name. His guest is Matthew. And so Michael and Matthew were talking about what they would do if they were offered this. So either a job with $100,000 salary and you had to work 8 to 6, or you could take $50,000 and you could work whatever hours you wanted from wherever you wanted. And they both said, oh, no doubt in my mind, I would take the $50,000 over the $100,000. And I know some of you are thinking right now, like, what the heck? That's just crazy. And I get it because it does seem that way. But then think of this. So the reason why is that they're able to design their lifestyle. So if they want to get up and surf in the morning or go work out, they can do that. If they want to bust out some work at 6 a.m. and then go to the gym at 9 a.m. and then come back, hang out with family, travel while they're doing this, that is worth more than the extra currency. So there's a guy that I've paid attention to a lot. You might have heard of him. His name's Tim Ferriss, and he has this book called The 4-Hour Work Week. And the idea is because this is the new rich. You're designing your life. You're not rich in money, but you're rich as a human being and the one life that we have to live here on this earth. So he throws that traditional, hey, let's work for 40 years and then go retire completely. He throws it completely out of the window. So this new philosophy that a lot of these younger millennials are taking is, hey, well, I want to be flexible. I want to enjoy my life while I'm going through it. I don't necessarily need to do nothing in my retirement later on, but just enjoying it along the way. So he even encourages to take mini retirements. So like maybe you work for a few years and then you take a month off and you go do something you really love. And that way it just feeds your passion. You never really get tired of doing your job because you're always enjoying it and it's allowing you to enjoy your lifestyle too. And if you build your business like some of his teachings, you'll have efficiency, and then a lot of your business can be on autopilot or just it can keep going while you're traveling. So the fourth thing that we can do to engage with these millennials is building credibility. So how are people perceiving you in your business when they search for you online? And I say search for you online because unless they're stumbling upon you at a trade show or in person, the first place that all of us go to look for is not the yellow pages. It's not the newspaper or magazine. We go online and we search the company. So what are we finding out about you? Are we getting to know, like, and trust you? And these days, so video is king. There's YouTube stars, there's people, Facebook added their live broadcasting, there's Periscope. And what are we finding when we Google you? Are we finding some outdated website with obviously stock photos, or do we find a really cool new website with tons of video with you? Are you on interviews? Are there articles that you've written? Are you sharing your story online? Podcasts are a great way to do this. If you can get interviewed on podcasts and have that, it's not only in audio, but a lot of times it's transcribed. So it's in a blog post format, it's on YouTube, and then it's syndicated mine is syndicated through 7 different channels. So actually 8 if you count the written version of it. So that way for each podcast episode, I have 8 different versions just going out there into the web. And I mentioned video. I know sometimes video is really awkward, but I promise you it's great. The average user on the internet spends more than 88% of their time on a website than without. Nearly 75% of all internet traffic in 2017 will be video. So I just want you to keep that in mind. So to summarize, we have pitch with passion. So with this, you got to tell your story, highlight your company's story, share your passion behind it. Number 2, we've got to hang out where all the cool kids are hanging out. So make an effort to meet them where they're at. Be present, develop a relationship on their turf. So if you've ever been in relational ministry like Campus Crusade for Christ, InterVarsity, Young Life, all of those Christian ministries, even the Mormon Church, for instance, they go out and they meet people where they are. They don't expect people to come to them. You've got to go where they are. And that's what I mean by hanging out where all the cool kids are, because we know where they're at. The third thing, be flexible. So lifestyle is more important than having money here. And millennials don't want to be a slave to work. They don't want to be stuck in an office all day. They want to be outside enjoying the sunshine. I remember, in the winter especially, and if you live in an area where it's more in the Northeast or Northwest, think about it. You get to work in the morning and it's dark. and then you're working all day in an office building. You get home, it is dark. How depressing is that? Like, wouldn't it be awesome to, okay, hey, I'm going to work early in the morning, and then I'm going to get outside, actually get some vitamin D and enjoy my day. And then I can work these later hours. Like maybe I'll stop work at 8 p.m. instead. So number 4, build credibility. So make sure we know who you are, what you stand for, and get valuable content out on the internet so we can find you, we know, like, and trust you. And then I want to end this with my friend Kevin Harrington's book is out, and I was lucky enough to contribute a chapter to that. So the book is called Put a Shark in Your Tank, and you can find it on Amazon right now. We have a pre-sale special because the hard copy of the book is not out yet. So you can get the digital version for 99 cents. If you have Kindle Unlimited, then it's just free, which is amazing. So my chapter is chapter 9, and it talks about product development, what you need to go through after you get your product funded, because he definitely goes into the pitch and getting funded. So I didn't want to cover that. But again, head over to my website and click on the podcast tab. So it's imua-services.com or imua-services.com, or straight there, inspiredbyimua.com. And I will have these slides for you to see. I'll have that hilarious Millennial International video for you to see. And then if you want to go check out Put a Shark in Your Tank, which I highly, highly suggest. Again, Kevin Harrington, original shark from Shark Tank. Great guy for you to get some awesome insight from. Head on over there, and I will catch you next week. And hopefully by next week, I will have a place to live and I will be coming at you from there. Okay, until then, Imua.
Mahalo for joining us. If you're new to riding the waves of medical device product development, or if you've been in development for a while already, Inspired by Imua is here to surf with you. Want to be a master of the waves? Text HANG10, that's HANGTEN, to 44222. We'll send you the most common wipeouts companies make in product development so you can avoid them and reach master wave status. Again, that's HANG10 to 44222. We publish a new episode every Tuesday, so catch us at inspiredbyimua.com. Imua!